Wow, wow, wow. Must be Thursday. We took last week off, didn't we? Thanksgiving?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We were in a coma watching football.
Well, well, always a pleasure. Family Matters with Kevin Petersen. I think you can tell which one's Kevin, which one's Jay. We have our names right below, so it makes it easy. But we do this every week, and we answer questions about anything from mental health, substance misuse, substance abuse, addiction, codependency, parenting, USC, whatever it is.
Well, whatever you got, we got it. If we don't know it, we make it up.
So, Kevin, what's going on with you? How was your holiday?
My holiday was lovely. It was absolutely wonderful. I had a really great time with my wife and friends, and it was just fantastic. And then Sunday, I flew out to Carbondale, Colorado. So I am here at the Jaywalker Lodge.
You've been there all week, huh?
Yeah, stay on Sunday to Sunday, just hanging in, plugging in. I'm going to run a little family weekend starting tonight. Should be pretty exciting stuff. And life is good, man. How about you? What's going on with you?
Well, it's cold in Nashville, Tennessee. So I have a cold because I'm not used to the cold. See how that happens? I think I said cold a lot, but clogged up nose. So if I sound different, if this is my radio voice, whatever, just let me know if it sounds better or worse. But good to see family over holidays and another blessing of long-term recovery. But life is amazing. Life is amazing. Better than I deserve. So
me too.
All right. Well, we've gotten a couple through. I mean, it's starting to pack up, and over the course of the last couple of months, I thought today would be a perfect opportunity because one of the family members reached out again asking if we've ever touched on this subject, and so I thought it's a question, but it's a all-encompassing question. So I thought maybe we just do a whole show on it and nothing but the show. But so here's what people are more and more wanting to know, Kevin. So, and I think the more I thought about it, it's maybe something that we kind of just brush right over. So families, loved ones, there's no instruction manual that comes to it. You wrote some incredible books. There's another, some more books out there, but you have a family that says, oh no, we have a crisis. Can we walk through that whole process of, hey, there's a crisis? More often than not, what these people are saying is we probably will get online, and now you guys are saying, don't trust everything you see online and, all this. And so we get a lot of feedback from families and loved ones saying we get overwhelmed because we know where we want to be, get to the goal, but how do we get there, Kevin? Can you kind of walk through the do's and don'ts and kind of everything?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. Funny enough, I've been getting some phone calls like that too, where families are like, hey, we need to meet with you and we, solve the problem. And I'm like, okay. So, I will do my best, of course.
Yeah.
So what I have to tell you, I try to be very proactive. And so what I tell the families is, oh, okay, cool. So here's the thing. What I think we need to do first is I want you to do a little homework. And this is tough, right? Because they feel like they're in crisis. And they want to just have one fast phone call. Which treatment center should we go to? Boom, 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 boom. And, and then I never hear from them again. And so it's like, well, okay, but that you haven't really addressed the system. You haven't addressed the issue. So in my book, family, chronic hope, families and addiction, I dedicate the first third of the book to triaging the crisis. So I tell them these are the steps. This is what I'm going to coach you into on how to address the problem of your loved one's substance abuse issues. And it's real straightforward and real simple. You're going to set 3 boundaries: no drugs, no alcohol. You got to start becoming self-sufficient by you either go to school or you go to work, but the bottom line is there's a timeline on how long we're going to pay your bills. We're not going to keep funding you. Okay. And then the last thing is you have to address your stuff. You have to go to therapy. You have to go to 12-step meeting. You have to go to psychiatrists. You have to be taking care of yourself. So those are the boundaries. Now, each boundary has to have an accountability function. And so, generally what I then say is, let's just say your son is struggling with marijuana and alcohol. It's like, okay, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to sit down with him and say, from today forward, and he's living in the house or he's on your payroll, so to speak, from here forward, in order to live in the house, use the car, use the phone, use the internet, the new rule is no drugs, no alcohol. And we're going to start drug testing as of today. And I outline how to do that and how that works. Okay. And then the consequence is if the drug tests are positive, then the answer is no. Now, obviously, if we know the person has a problem, they're going to be positive. So what we're going to tell them is going forward, we're going to give you a specific amount of time. I always say, let's give them 30 days to get it together. And we're going to test them regularly, and we're going to breathalyze them regularly. And generally, I don't want the family doing that. I want someone like you doing that. I want like a sober coach or an interventionist or, a case manager handling that. I want the parents out of the addict management business. So I'll show them how to get connected with someone like you. The second part is, okay, now that we've addressed the addiction or the substance abuse, then we, inevitably these guys aren't working and they're not, or then they're flunking out of school or they flunked out of school. It's like, okay, cool, I get it. So now we got to start talking about, you just got to get a job. I don't care if it's a Target. I don't care if it's, a temporary job at UPS for the summer, for the holidays. You got to work. You got to get up every morning and you got to have purpose. And you got to get going, and here's the thing. It doesn't take 6 weeks to find a job.
Yeah.
It takes 24 hours, and so again, that's where we rely on the assistance of someone like yourself, and who's going to do the case managing and the coaching and saying, okay, I'm going to meet with you. I'm going to show you how to do this. I don't want the family doing it. We got to get the family out of that situation. And then the last piece is, getting therapy, getting psychiatry, going to 12-step meetings. Maybe what they need is an intensive outpatient program, but they need to be addressing all these issues. Now, here's the truth. If the person really struggles with substance abuse and probably has some mental health stuff, they're not going to do it. But that's okay. We want to give them at least a shot and sit down and say, look, we love you and we want to help you. And as long as you're willing to do the drug test, you're willing to get a job, and you're willing to try IOP, we'll help you and we'll make things easier. We'll work with you on the situation. If they can make it work, great. If they can't, then we have plan B. And plan B is going to be inpatient treatment. But we're going to give them the chance. Now, they may not do it. They may start off, in 24 hours and be like, F you, I'm not doing it. Okay, we go to plan B, or they may try it for a week and they just like, I can't, I can't, and again, this is all outlined in the book. It's on my website. All this sort of step-by-step behavior is there. The idea of picking up the phone and in 15 minutes getting an immediate referral and just throwing somebody, that just doesn't work. I mean, you ever tried calling the doctor and saying, hey, I need medication? They're like, oh, yeah? I bet you did.
I have, actually. I don't want to admit this, but yes, I have tried.
Oh. And what do they say?
Well, at that point, I think they already knew my history. So I think they knew what. But, I think you've outlined two major things that I think that we kind of talk about each and every week if we don't specifically say it. But, the importance of the family kind of getting out of the way and kind of getting out of the addict, what did you say? Addict coordinator position or whatever.
Management business. Addict
management, which I love. And the importance on bringing in kind of a trained professional, and also, i.e., someone that's outside of can look inside and kind of give you an unbiased look. So I think what you're outlining is really the importance of the family kind of being able to take a step back, and the importance of a trained professional, as well as some incredible books that you've written and others have written too, is kind of what you outlined. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the thing I'm trying to get to families is that we need to be proactive. We need to set up a system. It's not as simple as, sending out the bat signal and Batman shows up and snatches him and runs away. That doesn't work, And the problem is people tend to get into crisis, and that's what they want. They want a reactive environment, not a proactive environment. And so, no matter how easy I try to make it, they're just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And then, I'm going to be honest with you, inevitably they call back and they're like 6 months later, they're like, oh, okay, well, we should have listened to you.
Yeah.
Like,
so, right now we're in the midst of, and I think there's no coincidence, like the people and the emails and the calls around this time are all ultimately the same, and that coincides with, report cards and, people that may have been away, to college or something. And lo and behold, Johnny may not be actually doing as well as he's portraying, and the grades are coming in, or maybe all these different things with this break. And, we both know that we get a lot more calls about, I never saw this coming. Lo and behold, Johnny's flunked out of college or anything like that. So you get that chaotic call. What you're outlining is kind of taking a deep breath first and not just going right into reactive mode. Is that right?
Yeah. Put together a plan and offer the solution to the person and say, hey, we love you and this is not working. So let's work together and solve the problem. And if they're like, okay, sure, I'm willing to try. I get it. Great. See how it works. If they're like, F you, I'm not doing this, then to go to plan B,
And FU and plan B is is treatment level. Is that what you're saying?
Inpatient treatment when probably with the help of an interventionist like yourself.
Yeah. Which I love plan B, just a side note, but anyway. But no, it's that time of year, it's the holidays, but I know my calls always go way up because as soon as those report cards, they don't hit the mailbox anymore. I think they hit the inbox of the emails. I was told that by a family member last week, but that just tells you where mine was always mailbox, so I could always intercept it and kind of alter it, but I was never good at it, so I always got caught. So but I think I know we touched on it briefly, but for anyone, is there anything realistically time sensitive that you don't, this could be a rant that you can go on for 2 days, but everyone's they get chaos and they switch, they turn to a phone, an iPad, a laptop, they search in. What would you say to anyone if you could have the attention to everyone turning to Google looking for support? What are some do's and don'ts that you maybe have outlined?
Sure. That's definitely part of the, in the book, right? In Triaging the Crisis, we start talking about how to pick a treatment center, or
because that's the first thing that's how, unfortunately, that's how people have found me. That's how people found you.
Yeah.
The world we live in.
Right. They want to find the immediate solution. So, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, are you going to do an insurance-based program or a cash program? And, that depends on your personal finances, and your insurance plan. So, I get it. I totally get it. Let's be honest. Inpatient treatment costs $1,000 a day, So if you're going to do it out of your own pocket, like the place that I work at, it's a 90-day program. You can do the math, it's $90,000. Now, 30-day programs will charge you your deductible, if your insurance covers. So let's say it's $5,000 for 30 days. Totally understand that, and I can understand where that comes from. The next thing you want to do is decide, do you want gender specific, which I always think is better. I just do. You get focused, and then also you want to sort of match the demographic, right? You're not going to put a 25-year-old kid who's struggling, with marijuana and marijuana psychosis with a bunch of 45-year-old guys that are hardcore alcoholics. You want to match people together as best as possible. The other thing I would tell you, and again, this is a finance thing, I think 90 days, 180 days is better. It's just the success rates are higher. 30 days doesn't solve the problem. What I really believe is anybody can kind of, work their way through 30 days, and just keep it together for 30 days, keep their mouth shut, do what they're told. And then they get sprung on day 31 and they go right back to the old ways, so you want to figure out your situation financially. You want to look at what you want, a gender specific program, which I always recommend. I would say then let's take a look at the program and see whether or not they're addressing your person's specific needs. And most places today are what we call dual license, mental health and substance abuse. Because let's be honest, the idea of just substance abuse, that's kind of old school. Most people are coming in with mental health stuff too, so you want to make sure that they have people that can address those issues, and then you want to look at the longevity. Do you want to do 30, 60, 90? To me, 90 days would be the bare minimum, because we just see better success rates. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, this is a large, conversation piece, but my simple term is when you're going online and you're looking at websites, making sure that they have staff bios and staff page and pictures of said facility, and you want to be able to look online to see the name of the person that you're currently talking to on the phone if you pull up the phone, so you have an idea. So, and also if someone wants to get your loved one in a car like 15 minutes after talking on the phone, that's always but a red flag in my book. And it's always good to talk to numerous places, people, and whatever you're comfortable with, go with it. But don't get rushed and don't get pressured into sending money or making a decision rash, because those are people more often than not that are red flags. So
yeah. Well, and
go ahead.
No, that's really more your strength is better in assessing out who's legit and who's not, because that's more your world. And I defer to you on that entirely. But yeah, you want to, what I love too is when you go on the website and all of a sudden this box pops up. Hey, hi, I'm Tom. How can I help you? And it's like, whoa, hold on. Just looking, and I've literally had friends that were like, they offered me an airplane flight to show up tomorrow. They're like, we'll pay for the ticket, get on the plane, and it's like, no, slow down, let's, the other thing I always think is important is talking to someone like you and me and saying, hey, have you heard of this place?
Yeah.
What do you know? What's the reputation? Because this is a reputation business, and that's critical, so it's important. And this is why it's just so important to be proactive and come up with a plan. And don't get me wrong, the plan can be enacted immediately, and the plan can be in 2 or 3 days, we go to plan B. But the idea of just going straight to plan B, it just doesn't work. If someone's got a needle sticking out of their arm or they're in the ER, that's totally different. Okay. But I'm talking about like you said, he's come home from school, he's flunking out of school. Oh my God, he promised us he would do better and he's not. What do we do? Yep. Well, here's what you do. Let's, it's just like sit him down today and say, you are not drinking or doing drugs today, and we're going to start testing you. That's the number one thing right now. Boom. Yeah. And because they're either going to be able to do it or they're not.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then we gotta take steps towards, oh, okay, you can't handle this. Okay, now we know what we need to do. Now we need to get you help.
Yeah. Well, so, and it's also not waiting until the barn fire. Like those are more often than not the times where we get the call is when the whole barn is on fire. I can tell you right now, there's a situation within the family, sitting probably right now today in some family room, that their signs are there that their loved one is struggling, whether the grades or something. They're going to, mom and dad may have the best intentions in the world, have a sit down, lay out this plan and let Johnny go back to college or wherever he's going, and have it get a lot worse, and then call us in June or July and say, hey, we knew that this was happening in December. So I think there's also the importance of start implementing this. If the signs are there, you don't have to wait for the whole barn to be on fire. If there's if there's signs there, start implementing what Kevin has laid out for this second semester or whatever, so you start, getting ahead of the issue. Like if there's an issue, you might as well have a plan in place instead of waiting till all chaos hits. So,
and that's the whole thing, is you don't have to wait till, like you said, the house is on fire. We can implement a proactive stance right now, and they may still go to treatment, but at least you're trying to figure things out ahead of time instead of waiting for the world to fall apart.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really the number one thing.
Alrighty, sir. Well, job well done. You can clock out. You can go to lunch. But you did well. We didn't stump you.
Thank you.
You did well.
Yeah, well, it's you and I both know that's kind of my favorite thing is, I mean, I literally had 2 phone calls last week. We're like, I need to meet with you right now. I'm like, nah, that's not how this works. I'm like, here, get my book. Oh, I don't have time for that. Okay, then because I know where that's going. Yeah. And I don't have time. And I'm like, okay, well, this is how I do things. Yeah. So, if you want to be proactive and contemplative, and we can get it done in 24 hours. That's not a problem. But the 911 panic call, it's like, no, that's not what I do. So
I'm the only one that can call you in a 911 panic call and you'll answer. Like, and you're always in my heart for that. But
I will come running.
I just don't listen to you saying no. I just keep going right into it. That's the key. Kevin may say no, just keep going into it. You'll solve your problems. So, all right, Kevin, I'll see you next week. So,
all right, brother.